Marcus Aurelius is one of the most famous and well-known Stoic philosophers of all time. He was a Roman emperor from 161 to 180 AD, and he was the last ruler of a line later known as the Five Good Emperors. He was in one of the highest positions of power in the world at the time, and would have access to the realization of all his temptations and desires should he wish for them. But instead, he dedicated his life to fairness and justice. During his rule, Aurelius found the time to construct a series of autobiographical writings, now known as the Meditations, which has become one of the most important texts within Stoic philosophy. In the Meditations, Aurelius describes guides on how to improve oneself. These were mostly focused on taking a cosmic perspective and critically analyzing your judgment of yourself and others. As the leader of a powerful empire that experienced multiple wars during his rule, Aurelius used his own Stoic philosophy to let go of stress and worries and to be the very best and most reliable leader he could be. Stoicism is an ancient and incredibly famous philosophy that, aside from being a theory, is also a truly inspiring way of thinking and living. The Stoics strongly believed that doing the right thing was the key to individual happiness, and that in order to do the right thing, sound judgment and clear, rational thinking were necessary. So with that in mind, in this video, we'll talk to you about how you can develop a rational mind through 5 important lessons that can help you think more clearly. From the teachings of Marcus Aurelius. Number 1. Marcus Aurelius says to train your mind. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Taking charge of how you see things is one of the most important lessons of Stoicism. All the time we judge everything we see, we give everything we do, everyone we meet, and everything we see a value judgment. It was either bad, good, dull, fun, pretty, ugly, or something else. Our ignorance has kept us from realizing that this is a very tiring habit that could make our lives worse. For instance, seeing every interaction you have on a really bad day as awful makes you feel even worse about the day itself. It will only be boring if you call a party you went to that. People often let their first thoughts about things be affected by their feelings during that one boring part of the week. This means that those thoughts are probably not completely logical. Our tendency to talk in metaphors and exaggerations that make things seem worse goes hand in hand with our tendency to judge every moment of our lives. Someone might say that they broke your heart instead of telling you that they no longer feel the same way about you if they are dumped. The way you talk, or rather the way you think, affects how you feel. Not the event itself that makes you feel bad, but the way you think about it without realizing it. Socrates, on the other hand, tells people to carefully think about how they should judge everyone and everything they do. And one way to be careful is to take back the decisions you've made. That is, to be able to ignore them, to forget your first thought, and to look at something with a more positive and reasonable view. You might want to think of that dull party as an opportunity to see a new place and meet new people. Okay. Afterward, you might think that you didn't really connect with anyone, but you didn't go in expecting that to happen. To train your way of seeing life, the best thing you can do is practice not judging everything based on your first thoughts and feelings. When you have strong feelings about something, ask yourself, is this logical? What if I based my thought on? Is there a more positive or better way to understand this? It was important to Marcus Aurelius that you can only do harm if you think it is harm. At this point, everything that was hard for him seems even worse and harder. You decide how much certain things affect you. The harder and worse you think something is, the more it affects you. The Stoics also say that you should see every bad thing that happens as a chance or source of good, like a workout. Your point of view is very serious. Being able to turn an obstacle on its head is a challenge. You might get angry when a new co-worker takes a long time to learn, and their mistakes cost the company money. This co-worker is getting in the way of what you want to do, which is be effective, efficient, and make money. But this situation can also be a chance to do good. It gives young people a chance to work on their patience and become better teachers, so they can learn how to help new people fit in with the company and how to deal with times of stress. All of these skills will come in handy in the future and should help you make more money over time. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The thing that stops you from acting moves you toward action. What gets in the way turns into the way." When you look at things, don't judge them based on how you think they should be. Instead, look at them as they really are. You may also discover that life is easier and more clear than you thought. There is a more positive and a more negative way to look at every situation. You'll find that nothing bothers you as much as it used to, and life will go much more smoothly after you make these changes. Number 2, learn to control your emotions. Marcus Aurelius tells us not to let our feelings take control over what our minds tell us. Stop lying, being selfish, and getting angry all the time. People often show acting based on emotions as being very different from acting logically. There's a good reason for this. Emotions are the only thing that can make us lose our sense of right and wrong. If you want to always be able to think clearly, one of the most important skills to learn is how to handle your feelings. Marcus Aurelius said that anger is one of the emotions that does more harm than good. Controlling your feelings doesn't mean putting them down, as many people seem to think. When someone betrays you, you feel very angry. You can't control this anger by telling yourself or others that it doesn't exist, by acting like everything is fine. No matter how far down you go, it will still be there. The Stoics say that controlling feelings like anger is better done by changing the way those emotions are felt. So the next time you feel angry, think about what you can do with that anger. If someone hurt you, you might want to yell at them. But will that make you feel better or less hurt? Will it make the person who hurt you better? Finally, think about what you want to do and ask yourself if it will help. If not, find healthy ways to talk about how you feel. You might get better results if you talk to the person who hurt you gently. Tell them how you feel and try to see things from their point of view. Additionally, you could write in a notebook and work out. After that, lose yourself in a computer game or something else that might help you calm down. Take worry or fear as another example. You can't just push it down. You can change how you feel about it though, instead of letting worry stop you. You can use it to push yourself to do things that make you feel it and be aware of its presence the whole time. Say you're afraid to ask your boss for a raise. Fear like this makes a lot of people decide not to do something, and they let their worries stop them. Some people might be able to do it because they see their worry as something that is getting in the way and needs to be ignored. But neither of those things has to be true. On the other hand, you can talk about your fear in a healthy way, and it might even help. Because you're afraid, you might think about all the bad things that could happen, like what questions your boss might ask and what reasons they might give against them. You can then get ready for them and make a plan for every possible outcome. Most importantly though, the fear makes you want to do it in a good way, to push yourself and get better as a person, to show yourself that you can do it, not in spite of your fear, but because of it. You can be aware of your nervousness the whole time and think, wow, I'm so cool I'm trying this anyway. If you can easily control your strong emotions, you'll always be calm, and your feelings will never get in the way of your ability to think clearly and make good choices. To clear your thoughts, you need to be able to handle your feelings. Number 3. Utilize the dichotomy of control in your life. According to Marcus Aurelius, you have control over your own mind, not over the events that occur in the outside world. Having this realization will allow you to find strength. The distinction between what we are able to control and what we are not able to control is known as the dichotomy of control. The weather, traffic problems, and what other people think about you are all examples of things that are beyond your control. On the other hand, you have the ability to control how you dress, the time that you leave, and the kind of people that you surround yourself with. Thus, whenever you are confronted with a circumstance that causes you to feel a particular way, you should ask yourself, what can I control? Whatever you're able to control is a reason to take action. It is important to learn to accept and embrace whatever it is that you are unable to control, and to do so without allowing it to affect you. Acquiring the ability to differentiate between these two things and acting in accordance with that distinction can instantly clear your mind. The dichotomy of control is comprised of a very significant component. Is amor fati, a Greek phrase that means love for fate. You will always love life if you accept it in its entirety, including all of the changes and challenges it brings. It is impossible to avoid fate or to make decisions regarding circumstances that are beyond your control. In spite of everything, you have the ability to choose to love your life. You might believe that there is no way out of a situation like this. If you hear that you have been turned down for a job that you have been looking for years, you were interested in the position. I attempted it, but I was unsuccessful. Given the circumstances, it is impossible for you to pretend that you have any affection for fate. Having said that, this is a major misunderstanding. Instead of viewing the fact that you were unable to achieve your goal as a solely negative occurrence, you should investigate the factors that led to the unfavorable outcome and then use that information to make a positive move. It is possible that the reason you were not hired was due to your own shortcomings. If this is the case, then you have the ability to take control of the situation. When a similar opportunity presents itself in the future, you can work on improving those failures and then give it another shot. Alternatively, the reason could have been an external factor, such as favoritism or a personality clash with a member of the staff responsible for hiring. You never had any control over this, which means that the opportunity was never really available to you. To add insult to injury, there is no point in getting angry about something that has never existed. The act of distancing oneself from a predetermined outcome and from external indicators of success is another component of accepting one's fate. If, for instance, you want to be a writer and you want to measure your success by the number of sales your book makes, then you will allow your success to be controlled by the arbitrary book market that is occurring at the time. If, on the other hand, you decide to calculate your level of success based on the degree to which you are content with the final product or the amount of effort that you have put into it, then you're in charge of your own success. You should therefore make it a point to do everything in your power to try to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. However, you should never forget that it is possible that you will not be able to achieve them, and you should be prepared for this possibility in advance. One can find oneself in a state of calmness if one chooses to focus their attention solely on the things that are within their control and make a commitment to accept everything that doesn't come exactly as it is, whatever that may occur. Number 4. Always keep the virtues in mind. Marcus Aurelius is credited with saying, "Dig deep within yourself, for there is a fountain of goodness ever ready to flow if you will keep digging." Simply put, a virtue is an example of morally commendable behavior. A virtue is an excellence of character. Not only does morally good behavior benefit you and those around you, but it also benefits the cause of the greater good. Stoics held the belief that everything and everyone in the universe was interconnected in some way. They believed that the universe was interdependent. According to Stoicism, therefore, what is best for the greater good is ultimately best for you as well once it has been implemented. Because of this, the Stoics were convinced that the most rational people were those who committed themselves to the greater good, or to put it another way, acted in a virtuous manner. The Stoics believed that ignorance was the root cause of an individual's lack of virtuous behavior. In the event that life takes you in a path that you did not anticipate, the virtues can direct you toward the appropriate actions to take and help you remain grounded. The reason for this is that the most virtuous people are the ones who are the most relaxed and calm. In order to be virtuous, it is necessary to keep in mind the most important virtues of Stoicism, which are wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. In the eyes of the Stoics, wisdom is the capacity to judge what is good or bad, what is in between, or what is neutral. In order to avoid being influenced by one's feelings, it is necessary to engage in clear and rational thought in order to determine what would be the ethically appropriate action to take. You are in a difficult situation when you have two options to choose from. The capacity to think through both is the essence of wisdom. Then there is justice. Justice is something that can be obtained through wisdom, and it entails acting in a manner that is not only just, but also fair to ourselves and to other people. The Stoics believe that it is a duty that one owes not only to oneself, but also to our fellow man and to society as a whole. When it comes to the third virtue, courage, it is the capacity to act despite the fact that you are afraid of something. Do what is required or beneficial, even if you are unsure of whether or not you will be successful. Doing away with fear, desire, or anxiety is not the same thing as having courage. The more important thing is to make the decision to act and to take action in spite of our anxiety, passion, and fear. In conclusion, moderation. Moderation is another word that can be used like temperance. Therefore, it is important to maintain a balance between two extremes and to make sure that you never take either too much or too little for yourself. When it comes to implementation, temperance frequently takes the form of self-control, self-restraint, or discipline. According to Aurelius, one of the characteristics that differentiated humans from animals was the capacity to halt their own actions if they were required to do so. It is more important to exercise moderation in order to ensure our long-term well-being than to satisfy our short-term desires. Consider a bag of chips as an example of something seemingly insignificant. Getting through the entire bag in a single sitting might be enjoyable in the moment, but it is detrimental to your health and could even have an effect on your mood in certain circumstances. Therefore, it is important to exercise self-control and refrain from eating after the initial few bites. Wisdom also plays a role in inducing temperance. Making a decision about how much of something you need to acquire before you stop yourself can only be accomplished through careful consideration. To categorize everything that could possibly occur in the world, the Stoics classified it into three categories: good, evil, and indifferent. It has always been essential to look for the good, to steer clear of the evil, and to choose indifference whenever you please. If you act in a way that is contrary to one of these virtues, you are creating evil. Take, for instance, the act of stealing from another person. Show them disrespect. Have a reckless or cowardly behavior, or take someone else's health. When you do good, you participate. In the event that you behave in accordance with these virtues, and you do not behave in this manner when you engage in indifferent actions such as going for a walk, for instance, by adhering to these straightforward guidelines, you will not only become a more well-rounded individual, but you will also become a more laid-back person. According to Stoic philosophy, when you behave in a manner that is consistent with your virtues, you are always guided by the good, and you are always acting rationally. The mind is calmed as a result of such behavior. Number 5, always take into account the bigger picture. The final quote that we have for this video comes from Marcus Aurelius, who says, "How beautifully Plato put it all together. Whenever you want to talk about people, it is best to take a bird's eye view and see everything all at once," the author writes. When we are living our lives, we are always right in the middle of everything, and it is extremely important to remember that taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture is tremendously important. It's possible that every problem could feel like the end of the world. In the middle of a relatively small crowd, for instance, it might appear as though the entire city is packed with people. However, if you move just a few steps away from the crowd, you will find that the opposite is true. As a result, when we take a step back and examine the entirety of the world in our lives, we're able to see how insignificant everything that we experience actually is, as well as how insignificant we actually are. This opens our eyes to the vastness of the world that exists beyond the realm of our own personal experience. Even among themselves, a great number of people fail to recognize that their own experiences and opinions are not the only things that should be considered important. For instance, a person who has had a negative experience with dogs might not comprehend or believe that dogs can be tremendously beneficial and wonderful pets for other people, unless they make a conscious effort to consider the possibility that they have had other experiences. It is necessary for each of us to periodically take a step back and ask ourselves, what are we overlooking or failing to take into account? Doing so may prove beneficial in a variety of different ways. Imagine, for instance, that you are faced with the decision of whether to continue working at your current job or to submit an application for a position that has recently become available elsewhere. It is possible that this decision will appear to be challenging, particularly if you are uncertain as to which of those two options would fulfill your needs. It is possible that you are content with your current position and do not wish to take on the additional responsibilities that come with the promotion. However, you do value the increased compensation that comes along with it. It's possible that you'll feel trapped. Nevertheless, there are a great many other things that you could consider. Have you given any thought to the possibility of transitioning into a completely different industry? A side hustle, perhaps? Is it possible to earn money in addition to your current job by using the time you have available to you? It's possible that if you devote yourself completely to a hobby, you'll be able to divert your attention away from the time you spend doing something that you don't particularly enjoy. There is a significant possibility that you are not even aware of the numerous opportunities that are available to you in life. When it comes to making a decision, it can be extremely beneficial to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, rather than concentrating solely on what is immediately in front of you. Not only is it helpful to take a step back and look at the bigger picture when forming an opinion, but it is also helpful when deciding what constitutes the most important things. It is necessary for you to be aware of all the possibilities or facets associated with a particular circumstance. in order to make an accurate evaluation of it. A further benefit of taking a step back is that it allows you to distance yourself from your own opinions and prejudices. There is a possibility that you will be reminded of the people around you and the responsibility that you have to them when you temporarily let go of your own desires. It's possible that, in the heat of the moment, you might not perceive littering as a significant issue. However, when you take a step back and consider the entirety of the world, as well as the possibility that everyone else is doing it, you finally realize how insignificant your desire to litter is. As was mentioned earlier, the Stoics held the belief that everything in the world is interconnected and that the general well-being of the world improves your own personal well-being as well. This was in comparison to the well-being of the world. Therefore, it is of the utmost significance to be able to take a step back and examine the world as a whole, rather than focusing solely on your own life. When you're confronted with a decision, a challenge, a problem, or a change in your life, you can ask yourself some questions from the inside. At this very moment or at a later time, this may occur. Perhaps when you were reflecting on your day, whether it was while you were out for a walk or when you were writing about it in a journal, which was something that Aurelius was particularly fond of. One of the most common questions that you should ask yourself is, what are the potential consequences of my decision or action in the long run? How is it possible that the viewpoint of another individual could be different from mine? If I know someone who is in a similar situation or who has goals that are comparable to mine, would they be able to assist me? Does my decision or action have an impact on my overall health? Does it have an impact on the health of the people right around me? What are the available options? But I haven't given it any thought yet. Taking the time to think about everything in the world can help you gain a better understanding of your actions, thoughts, life, and the decisions you make. Additionally, it is beneficial to you because it enables you to assist the entire world. When you take into account everything that is going on, you will always have a holistic perspective that prevents you from being bound by unwarranted constraints, prejudices, or uncertainties. If you found this video to be enjoyable, we encourage you to check out our channel for additional videos that will assist you in achieving success and happiness through the application of ancient philosophical principles. Remember to subscribe. Many thanks for checking out the video.